You know what Dave Isaac told us the other day on the show?
Mm-hmm.
I asked him about Provorov. He said he would bet his house that he makes the team.
And then he said he was only a renter.
That's right.
Right.
But the guy who could really answer that question for us is on hold right now. We will take him off a hold and pop him on the show. It's Flyers GM Ron Hextall taking some time to join us here on the Bash 97.3 ESPN. How are you, Ron? How you been?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you guys?
We're doing well. Should Isaac put his house up for sale?
Well, actually, I'm not the one that's going to make that decision. Provorov's going to make that decision, and any other young kid that comes into camp.
Yeah, that's true.
And I guess it's easy to put your house out there if you rent it, right?
We thought that was pretty, like he qualified it, Ron.
He did say, I'm a renter.
That's real courageous, Dave.
So, obviously there's a lot of excitement around your young players, and you get a chance to see them at this camp. Well, what are some of the things that you guys look for in this camp? Because this isn't like, hey, you're making the team because of this camp, but what are some of the things you're trying to learn and observe from this camp here?
Yeah, this is a true camp. Like, we're trying to help our players develop, become better players, become better people, become better educated, like all the little things, becoming a pro, showing up on time and being ready to practice when practice starts, stretching on the ice, being ready to go on the ice, being here early, stretching after practice, nutrition, sleep. Like, there's a lot of focuses here, but it's mostly on education, and we're really not here evaluating the players. We're here to help make them better, and then hopefully in September or next September or the September after that, they can make the big team.
That being said, are there guys that can maybe catch your eye during this this week process?
No, I don't. I really don't allow that to happen. It's more truly about the kids finding ways to get better. So we're happy if the kids walk away in a week and they're better players, they're more educated players, and also we want to give them things to go away with for the rest of the summer to work at, because every young player has a flaw. So if this is the time to fix those flaws rather than during the season. During the season, they're so focused on, winning a game and playing well and the system that the coach is putting in place and whatnot. So they're not really focused on maybe improving their skating or improving their puck skills or this or that. So this is a time to change those types of things in the summer. So we try to give them all something to go away with to work at the rest of the summer.
Ron Hextall is with us. You remember you can hear all of the Flyers games right here on 97.3 ESPN. Two of the names, we mentioned Provorov, Travis Konechny. He kind of said today, look, I want to make this team. What are some of the things those guys need to do to make your club come September? What do they need to get better at?
Well, I think the first thing is some of these kids are young, so we're not only worried about the physical part, the skill part of it. We're also worried about the mental part. We're worried about, whether a young kid is ready for this level. Is he going to get hurt? So there's all kinds of things that go into our decisions. But I think most young players typically are, there's a strength issue. There's typically a defensive issue where they got to become better defensive players. Travis Konechny is a good example. Like, Travis is a whale of an offensive player defensively, sometimes in the decisions and everything. And again, this isn't picking on Travis because every young player typically has to work at this. But making decisions with the puck, the right decision with the puck, not turning pucks over. If you watch the game nowadays, a lot of the goals are scored on turnovers because typically leads to a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2, and it's so hard to score goals nowadays that you just can't be given the freebies. So there's a lot of things for young players to work at. They all have their different areas of concern. But I think the two guys you mentioned, when we sent Provorov and Konechny back last year, we said, you guys need to go back and be better in junior than you were this past season. And to both of their credit, they both played extremely well this year, and they became much better players than they were the year we drafted them.
Ron, did they have anything like this when you were a player? I mean, when did the idea of development camp really originate, and were the Flyers ahead of the curve on that?
Yeah, no, they certainly didn't when I was a player. I remember coming to my first training camp in 1982, and quite honestly, after 4 days, I was so stiff I could hardly walk, I could hardly move. So the education they're getting here really prepares them for September and training camp. We lay our expectations out for them physically, what type of shape they need to be in, their body fat, working at their long jump, their vertical jump, their upper body strength, their lower body strength, whatever it may be. So this is a real good education for them. Obviously, we work a lot within their skill set. There's a lot of time on the ice, but there's also a lot of time on the gym. So it's a real educating week for these kids. Again, we go through the nutrition, how important sleep is, how important it is to be a pro, to be a good teammate. Like there's a lot to learn this week, and it's a real good tool for these young kids if they really want to use it.
And then there's a fun aspect for the fans down here as the prospects come down every year. It's going to be next Tuesday, July 12th, is the trial on the Isle, and that's Stone Harbor, and that has the little Avalon contingent as well as guys come down and compete in some fun events. Maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah, it's a terrific event. I know our guys every year, they look forward to it and they really enjoy it. It's they're in small groups and they compete against each other and do fun things, and obviously, being down at the Jersey Shore, a lot of them it's their first look at it, and they have a blast.
So who are some of the young guys you think have a chance to crack the roster this year as you look at all your young wealth of talent?
Well, I don't like to pick out certain guys and say they have the best chance, but we had some kids in Lehigh Valley last year, Sam Moran, Robert Hagg, Cole Bardreau really came on last year, Taylor Lear really came on last year, and then we got some first year pros. Nicholas Abu-Kabel is a pro this year. Travis Sanheim is a pro this year. Alex Lyon, a goaltender we signed out of Yale, is a pro. And I think everybody knows the Provorov and Konechny's. But we also got some kids that we drafted this year. Pascal Laberge in the second round, Wade Allison, they're both right wingers in the second round, and Carter Hart, the goaltender. So we've got a lot of kids that we're real excited about. We got a real good group of young kids, and they're all not going to pan out as much as we would like them to, but we have so many of them that we know we're in good hands in the future here.
Talk with Flyers GM Ron Hextall here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. Can you give us some thoughts on what you were able to do in free agency, given the ability or the lack thereof of being able to spend a lot of money? Did you get all that you wanted to accomplish, or there's still more out there for you?
Well, we would have liked to add a top scorer, but that wasn't out there, and certainly for the money that we had available within the cap and also the term, we got to be real careful moving forward here in terms of having to move young players because we're up against the cap. So we've got to be very strategic the next couple of years, and once our young kids start coming up, we have to have the ability to sign them and keep them. So we're very cognizant of that. We feel like we got better by adding Dale Weiss and Boyd Gordon. And we also feel like with Shen took his game to another level, Couturier took his game to another level. I think Jake Voracek's going to have a big bounce back year, and I think Claude Giroux can play even better than he did last year. So we have upside, and on the defense, whether there's a kid in there or not, we'll find out come October. But we're real excited about where we're at and where we're headed.
And I know you signed a local guy, T.J. Brennan. Ron, if you could maybe discuss him coming to the Philadelphia Flyers organization.
Yeah, we did. TJ's been a top defenseman in the American League. He's got an absolutely terrific offensive game. I think he had 25 goals last year, so he's a very, very dynamic defenseman, and we're excited to have him in the organization. I can tell you, I've talked to the kid a couple times now, and he couldn't be happier to be here with the organization that he watched growing up.
Hey, there was a time last year, right around the trade deadline, Hexy, that you had mentioned, look, we're not going to really do something. We feel that we have guys in the minors and guys coming back that could help us out. Now, is that do you look at the run that you guys made to get to the playoffs? What do you attribute that to? I mean, was there somebody that you brought up that, obviously Gostisbehere helped a big time for you guys, but at that right around that trade deadline when you had made that comment, was there something that changed, something that was because you didn't make a trade, you just it all just came together. So what was it at that time that changed for your team?
Well, you could kind of feel our group coming together. I think our coach did a really good job, and I think our group started to come together about mid-year, and you could almost feel that we were going to do something, special. When I say that, make the playoffs. We were a few points out at the time, and we lost Delzato. It didn't look good, and there's no question Gostisbehere helped us. But I think there's a lot of guys in our group that really took their game up. The Radko Gudisches, Brant Anning. I mentioned Schenner. So we had some real good contributions, and again, we just pulled together. And when you're a good team, you beat good individuals, and we became a good team and a real committed team about halfway through the year. So we look to build on that.
Did any of the way Ghost played, Ron, change your view of younger players and when they're ready? I mean, because he really did come on the scene and exploded on the scene.
Yeah, he did. But Ghost is also a '93 born. People tend to forget this. This wasn't an 18, 19, or 20-year-old coming out of junior. This is a guy that was 22 years old at the time. So you got to be very cognizant of that. If you ask Shane if he would have been ready for this when he was 18 or 19 or 20, I'm sure he'd tell you he wouldn't have been. As a matter of fact, his first year pro at 21. He wasn't ready for it. He ended up getting hurt that year. But Shane did a good job for us, and no, it doesn't change my mind because he came into training camp last year, and to his credit, he missed a whole year before, so it's not easy coming in September and all of a sudden elevating your game that quickly. He went down to the minors, and he played okay for about 6 or 8 games, nothing great. Maybe you could even argue it wasn't real good. He was okay, and then he came on about his last 6 or 8 games there, and then Mark Strike got hurt, and so he was on his way to working his way up here. And then when he came up, he made a huge impression and did a real good job. But I think if you ask him, and I've certainly talked to him about it, if he'd have done it without the 14 games in the minor leagues, he just wasn't ready for it. But he made a quick transition, did a good job for us.
Flyers GM Ron Hextall almost basically discussing the concept of an old rookie, if you will. That's right. People forget the Union College and the NCAA championship he won, so he was kind of an older rookie. How about older veterans that you have on the team, Ron, like a guy like Jake Voracek? Is there anything different you'd like to see out of him?
Well, I think Jake was disappointed in the year he had last year. He finished 4th in the league in scoring the year before, and then obviously we signed him to a big contract, and you see it over and over and over in sports. Sometimes when you get that big deal, guys are pushing too hard because they think they've got to become something they're not. And Jake had a bit of a frustrating year. He certainly was. He was good at times, but he wasn't as good as he was the year before, and actually stopped in my office a few days ago. He's in terrific shape, hungry to go this year, and we expect big things out of Jake.
I used the phrase old rookie a minute ago. I forgot the other rookie that people don't pay attention to. That was Dave Hextall. How do you sum up the job that he did for you in his rookie year behind the bench?
He did a real good job. I think, coming from college where you're playing 40 or 40-odd games, all of a sudden you're coming into playing 8 preseason games and 82 regular season games, and pretty much every other day. It was an adjustment for him, but I thought he handled it extremely well. Dave's a sharp guy. He's got some really good assistants with some experience. He listened to them. But he was a quick learn too. He's a student of the game. He picks up things quickly, and the one thing about Dave, even when he was in college, he treats people like they're pros. He treated the college guys like they're pros, and obviously treated our guys like they're pros. So it was a quicker transition for him, I think, than it would be some other guys who are coaching kids who would treat them more like boys. So Hack's always had the thing of treating men like men and treating them like pros. So he did a terrific job for us.
Ron Hextall talking about Dave Hextall here on the Bash. One big move still out there, I guess, is Braden Shen, and he's going to go to the table, I guess, here. Restricted free agent. He filed for salary arbitration. Now, earlier today, you sound like you feel like this is going to be a pretty clean process. I mean, is there anything here that worries you?
No. I mean, if we have to go to arbitration, that's fine. If we go to arbitration, we'll get a 1-year deal, and then we'll get back at it next summer. So Braden's got 2 more years as a restricted free agent, and we expect Braden to be here moving forward. So hopefully we'll get something done before the arbitration date, but if we don't, we'll go to arbitration. We'll have a 1-year deal, and we'll deal with it later.
Hexie, I don't want to tell you how long ago it was that I was at a hockey camp at Wissahickon Skating Club, and you were the celebrity guest. I know you were driving like a black Mercury Cougar with your number on it, but you gave me an award then for like most attentive camper, so I hope I was attentive during the interview here, bud.
That's great. The good old days.
A Mercury Cougar.
It was like a black Mercury Cougar. It had like 27. We were in awe. I mean, this was Ron Hextall teaching us hockey.
Yeah, that was the car. Actually, the Flyers gave that to me when I scored the goal there. So I still have it. I still have it to this day.
And by the way, full circle, because Monday, Lindros in the Hall of Fame, and in that deal was Ron Hextall.
That's correct. Thanks, Hexie, for your time. We appreciate it so much. And trial on the aisle on Tuesday, July 12th.
Yeah, it's a fun time, guys.
All right, Hexie, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it.
All right, been a pleasure.